Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you something that I hope burns into your mind and stays with you for the rest of your life. Success is not an accident. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not luck falling out of the sky. Success is the result of following a set of principles with relentless focus until they become as natural as breathing. Today, I want to share with you the top 3 rules for success. 3 rules that, if you live by them, will take you further than you ever imagined possible. Rule 5 Wednesday, take full responsibility for your life. The first rule is the foundation for all the others. Take full responsibility. No excuses. No blaming. No pointing fingers. I'm telling you, if you want to go to the next level, you have to stop outsourcing your future to your past. Some people are still angry about what happened to them 10 years ago, and that anger is costing them their destiny today. Yes, maybe you were born into a tough situation. Maybe the odds were stacked against you. But here's the truth. You didn't choose how you started, but you do choose how you finish. I know what it's like to feel like the deck is stacked against you. I've been there. But one day, I decided to stop waiting for someone to rescue me. I realized something. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you your dream. If it's going to happen because you made it happen. When you accept full responsibility, something incredible happens. You become powerful. Suddenly, you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You're a creator of possibilities. So rule number 1, write it down, tattoo it on your heart. Take full responsibility for your life. Rule 2, keep showing up. No matter what. The second rule is simple to say, but hard to live. Keep showing up. It's easy to show up when the sun is shining, the money is flowing, and everybody's cheering you on. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about showing up when you're tired. Showing up when your heart is broken. Showing up when you failed yesterday, last week, and last month. Let me tell you something. You don't drown by falling into the water. You drown by staying there. Every person who has achieved greatness has scars from days they wanted to quit but didn't. Success is not a straight line. It's a zigzag of setbacks, rejections, and detours. But every time you get up, you build muscle. You build resilience. You build the you that can handle the success you're chasing. When I started my journey, there were days I didn't think I could keep going. Days when nobody showed up to hear me speak. Days when the bills were bigger than the bank account. But I kept showing up. And each time I did, I got a little better, a little stronger, a little closer to the dream. You've got to develop the habit of persistence. You've got to tell yourself, I will outlast the pain. I will outlast the struggle. I will outlast the storm. So rule number 2, when life knocks you down, land on your back. Why? Because if you can look up, you can get up. And if you can get up, you can go on. Rule point 3, live hungry. The third rule is the engine that will keep you moving. Stay hungry. You can't be casual about success. You can't be lukewarm. You have to want it, really want it, more than the comfort of the couch, or more than the approval of people who don't believe in you, more than the fear that whispers in your ear at night. Hungry people get up earlier. Hungry people stay later. Hungry people knock on doors until their knuckles bleed. Some people lose in life, not because they're not talented, but because they stop chasing, they settle, they get comfortable. But comfort is the enemy of progress. I remember a time when I had nothing. No money, no connections, no right circumstances. But I had hunger. I had a fire inside me that said, I will not die like this. I will not leave this world without giving everything I've got. And here's the thing. Hunger isn't about greed. It's about purpose. It's about waking up every day knowing you've got something to give, something to build, something to fight for. When you stay hungry, you won't just chase money. You'll chase mastery. You'll chase impact. You'll chase the person you were born to be. So rule number 3, feed the fire every single day. Read, learn, grow. Surround yourself with people who push you, challenge you, and inspire you. Bringing it all together now, let's put these 3 rules together. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for life to change. You start changing it. When you keep showing up, you build the strength to keep going until the breakthrough comes. When you stay hungry, you make sure the fire never goes out. Do this, and I promise you, you will shock yourself with what you can achieve. But let me warn you, it's not going to be easy. The road will be long. You will face nights when you cry yourself to sleep. You will face moments when nobody claps for you. You will face times when quitting feels like the only option. And in those moments, I want you to hear my voice in your head saying, this is the test. This is where the good stuff is forged. This is where ordinary people quit, but extraordinary people keep going. I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now. Do you see yourself living the life you've dreamed of? Do you see yourself standing where you said you'd stand? If you want that future, it starts with what you do today, right now, this very moment. Decide that from this day forward, you will live by these 3 rules. Take full responsibility for your life. Keep showing up, no matter what. Stay hungry for the dream. If you do, the day will come when you look back and say, I didn't just survive, I arrived. You'll stand tall knowing you fought for your life and you won. The world is waiting for your gift. Don't keep it locked inside. Step out, speak up, and rise up because your future is calling and it will not wait forever. Taking ownership of your life is the single most powerful decision you will ever make. It is the moment you stop blaming your parents, your boss, the economy, your upbringing, or the weather for where you are. It's when you stand in the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and say, if it's going to happen, it's going to be because I made it happen. That is the moment you step out of being a passenger and take the driver's seat in your own destiny. When you take full ownership, you stop waiting for permission. You stop asking for validation. You stop hoping that someone else will fix your problems. You understand that your success, your happiness, your growth, it's all on you. Many people live their lives in reaction mode. They respond to whatever life throws at them. They blame their situation for their lack of progress. But the truth is, your circumstances don't define you. Your decisions do. You might not be able to control everything that happens, but you can always control how you respond. You can decide whether you'll rise or fold, whether you'll find a way or make an excuse. When you own your life, you take control of your responses, your mindset, and your actions. You no longer say, I can't because. You start saying, I will until. Responsibility is not about fault. It's about power. You may not be responsible for the challenges you were handed, but you are responsible for what you do with them. People who own their lives understand that waiting for someone else to fix their problems is the surest way to stay stuck. They take initiative. They search for solutions. They take action before they feel ready. They refuse to let the story of their past dictate the script of their future. Owning your life means you stop negotiating with your excuses. It means you stop identifying with your limitations and start identifying with your possibilities. You don't just talk about what you want. You align your habits, your environment, and your daily actions with that vision. You stop saying one day and start saying day one. You realize that every choice you make is either moving you closer to the life you want or pulling you further away from it. It also requires brutal honesty. You have to admit where you've been lazy. You have to face the fact that you've wasted time. You have to acknowledge when you've let fear win. People who live in denial can't change what they won't confront. Ownership is about looking at yourself without filters, without excuses, and without sugarcoating. It's about saying, this is where I am, and I take responsibility for getting here. Now I take responsibility for getting out. The beauty of ownership is that it puts the power back in your hands. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a creator of opportunities. You develop a mindset that says, no matter what happens, I will find a way to win. You learn to adapt. You become resourceful. You refuse to sit still while your dreams collect dust. Ownership is active, not passive. It demands that you wake up every day with the awareness that your life is your responsibility and no one else's. When you live this way, you start seeing results, not because the world suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger. The same challenges that once paralyzed you now fuel your determination. The setbacks that used to defeat you now become lessons that sharpen you. You no longer wait for the stars to align. You start moving and you trust that alignment will happen along the way. You embrace the truth that your destiny isn't written by chance. It's written by choice. Showing up relentlessly is the quiet power behind every great achievement. It is the discipline of being present, doing the work, and moving forward whether you feel like it or not. Most people show up when it's convenient, when the mood is right, when the weather is nice, when the motivation is flowing. But those who succeed at the highest level understand that consistency beats intensity. It's not about doing it once with massive energy. It's about doing it again and again until progress becomes inevitable. There will be days when your energy is low, when your plans fall apart, when nothing seems to be going your way. Those are the moments that test your resolve. Showing up on those days sends a message to yourself and to the world that you are committed. It's easy to be enthusiastic when everything is working, but the real winners are the ones who keep moving forward in the dark, when no one is watching, when no applause is coming. Persistence is not glamorous. It is often repetitive, unrecognized, and uncomfortable. You will face rejection. You will face moments where you feel invisible. But every single time you show up, you are planting seeds. Some days those seeds will sprout immediately, and other days it will feel like the ground is dry. But you cannot reap a harvest if you stop planting. Showing up relentlessly builds momentum, and momentum is the invisible force that carries you when willpower fades. You have to be willing to show up when the odds are against you. There will be people who doubt you, laugh at you, or even try to talk you out of what you're doing. They will say you're wasting your time. They will question your ability, but you don't show up for their approval. You show up for your own vision. Each appearance, each effort, each step forward is a declaration that you are not here to play small. You are here to see it through. Some days you will show up and fail. You will give your best effort and still fall short. And that's okay, because showing up is not about perfection. It's about persistence. Every failure teaches you something. Every setback sharpens you. Every time you return after a loss, you strengthen your resilience. The people who achieve their goals are rarely the most talented or the most gifted. They are simply the ones who refuse to disappear when things got hard. When you keep showing up, you also build trust with yourself. You prove that your word means something. You stop being the person who says, I'll do it, and doesn't. You become the person who takes action regardless of mood, comfort, or convenience. That trust compounds over time, making you more confident, more disciplined, and more capable of taking on bigger challenges. The path to success is not one giant leap. It is thousands of small, deliberate steps. Showing up day after day creates a body of work, a record of effort, and a reputation for reliability. People start to notice. Opportunities begin to appear. not because you waited for them, but because you were there in motion, ready when they came. The person who is present consistently will always outlast the one who only appears when it's easy. There will be seasons when showing up feels like the hardest thing in the world. You will want to take a break just for a little while. And that little while will threaten to turn into forever. But every time you resist that urge, every time you drag yourself into the game, when your mind says to stay on the sidelines, you are reinforcing the habit that will ultimately separate you from the rest. Staying hungry is the fuel that keeps you moving long after others have stopped. It is the fire in your gut that refuses to be extinguished. No matter how many milestones you reach or how many victories you collect, hunger is not about greed. It's about the unshakable desire to grow, to stretch, to push past what you thought was possible. It's about waking up every day with a sense of urgency, knowing that comfort is the silent killer of ambition. When you lose hunger, you start settling. You tell yourself you've done enough, that you can slow down, that it's time to relax. But the moment you start coasting, your edge begins to dull. The people who keep rising, who keep achieving at the highest levels, are the ones who never let themselves get too comfortable. They are grateful for what they have, but never satisfied to stop there. Gratitude and hunger can coexist. You can appreciate where you are while still fighting for where you want to be. Hunger makes you resourceful. It makes you find solutions when there seems to be none. It pushes you to make that extra call, take that extra step, put in that extra hour. Hungry people don't wait for opportunities. They create them. They understand that nobody is going to hand them the life they dream of, so they go out and build it with their own hands. They are willing to endure the grind, the late nights, the early mornings, and the sacrifices that most people are not willing to make. Staying hungry also means protecting your mindset. It means surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, who push you to think bigger, who refuse to let you play small. Hunger dies in environments of complacency, where average feels acceptable and ambition is mocked. If you want to keep your fire burning, you have to be around people who add fuel to it, not water. You have to feed your mind with ideas, inspiration, and goals that scare you a little. There will be times when life tries to starve your hunger. You will face failures that make you question whether it's worth it. You will face setbacks that tempt you to settle for good enough. But hunger thrives in challenge. It uses obstacles as fuel. When the average person would retreat, the hungry person digs in deeper, driven by the belief that the reward is worth the struggle. Hunger keeps you learning. It refuses to let you rely on yesterday's skills to win tomorrow's battles. It pushes you to grow sharper, stronger, and more capable. It reminds you that you haven't seen your best day yet, that the peak you've reached is only the starting point for another climb. It whispers in your ear, you can do more. You can be more. You can give more. You can spot a hungry person by the way they show up. They carry urgency in their actions. They move with purpose. They don't waste time talking about what they're going to do. They're already doing it. They live as if the opportunity they have now may never come again, and they treat every moment like it matters. The truth is, hunger doesn't survive by accident. It has to be fed daily. You have to remind yourself why you started, what's at stake, and what's possible if you keep going. You have to set goals that stretch you beyond your current limits, goals that make you nervous and excited at the same time. You have to keep your vision so clear in your mind that it pulls you forward, even when your body is tired. Turning setbacks into comebacks is about refusing to let failure have the final word. Life will knock you down, sometimes hard enough to take your breath away. Plans will collapse. Opportunities will slip through your fingers, And people you counted on will disappoint you. The difference between those who rise and those who stay down is not that one group avoids setbacks. It's that they use those setbacks as raw material to build something stronger. Every disappointment carries within it a lesson, and those who are determined to turn things around know how to find it. Even when it's buried under frustration and pain, a setback is not the end of the story unless you make it so. It is a moment in time, a temporary chapter, a detour that can still lead to your destination if you refuse to quit walking. People who turn setbacks into comebacks understand that the experience, no matter how painful, can become the very thing that equips them for future victories. They don't waste time pretending the loss didn't hurt. They acknowledge the pain, but they refuse to live there. It's about perspective. When something goes wrong, you can see it as a sign that you're not capable, or you can see it as evidence that you're in the game, that you're trying, that you're pushing into territory where mistakes are part of the process. Every successful person has a history filled with moments when things didn't work. What made them different is that they didn't interpret those moments as proof they should stop. They saw them as proof they needed to grow. Turning a setback into a comeback requires resilience, and resilience is built in the moments when you feel like you have nothing left. It is built when you choose to get up one more time after the world has counted you out. You have to train yourself to ask better questions when life hits hard. Instead of, why me? You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of, how can I get out of this? You start asking, how can I grow through this? The quality of your comeback will always be tied to the quality of the questions you ask yourself in the middle of the storm. It also requires action. You can't think your way out of a setback without moving your feet. You may have to start smaller than you'd like. You may have to rebuild with fewer resources, with less confidence, with the weight of your past failures still hanging over you. But action is the proof to yourself that you are still in the fight. Each step forward begins to shift your momentum from loss to recovery, from pain to progress. The process won't be instant. There will be moments when it feels like you're moving in slow motion, moments when the voice of doubt gets loud. But comebacks are not built overnight. They are the result of stacking small wins on top of each other until one day you look up and realize you're no longer where you were. You've moved past the place of loss into a new chapter that wouldn't have been possible without the setback that started it. One of the greatest advantages of a comeback is that it changes who you are. You come out of the experience tougher, wiser, and more aware of your own strength. You carry scars that remind you not only of what you endured, but of what you overcame. And those scars become a source of confidence, proof that no matter what happens in the future, you've been through worse and you're still standing. People often fear setbacks because they see them as threats to their identity. But when you embrace them as opportunities for transformation, they become milestones instead of tombstones. You learn to appreciate the process of rebuilding because it forces you to strip away what doesn't matter and focus on what truly does. The comeback doesn't just restore what you lost. It often gives you more than you had before because now you have the experience and strength to handle it. Surrounding yourself with elevators, not anchors, is one of the most important choices you will ever make. The people you keep close have a direct influence on how you think, what you believe is possible, and how far you're willing to go. Elevators are the people who lift you higher. They challenge you to be better. They encourage you when you doubt yourself, and they push you to reach beyond what feels comfortable. Anchors, on the other hand, pull you down. They drain your energy, dampen your vision, and keep you tied to the level you're trying to rise above. Who you spend time with shapes your standards. If you're surrounded by people who settle for less, who make excuses, and who complain more than they take action, you will eventually start to mirror those habits. But if you spend your days with people who are disciplined, who are striving, who are committed to growth, you will naturally start to elevate your own behavior to match theirs. You cannot consistently be in the presence of greatness without some of it rubbing off on you. Elevators see the potential in you even when you can't see it yourself. They won't let you play small. They will call you out when you're not giving your best, not to criticize you, but because they know you're capable of more. Being around these kinds of people will stretch you. It might make you uncomfortable at times, but that discomfort is where growth happens. Anchors, by contrast, will tell you it's fine to stay where you are. They will reassure you in your excuses and validate your limitations, not because they want the best for you, but because your growth threatens their comfort. Sometimes choosing elevators means making hard decisions about relationships you've had for years. You may care deeply for someone, but if their presence constantly pulls you backward, you have to protect your vision. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing their influence to dictate your future. Protecting your circle is not about arrogance. It's about stewardship. Your energy, your time, and your mindset are too valuable to be constantly weighed down by negativity or mediocrity. Elevators inspire action. They lead by example, showing you what's possible by the way they live. They don't just talk about big dreams. They work for them. Their discipline and dedication are contagious. You find yourself thinking bigger, setting higher goals, and refusing to settle because you've seen firsthand what is achievable. This is why proximity matters. Just being around people who operate at a high level can change your expectations for yourself. Anchors often disguise themselves as friends. They might mean well, but their habits, attitudes, and perspectives keep you from moving forward. They may discourage you from taking risks, remind you of past failures, or convince you that your dreams are unrealistic. If you listen long enough, you'll start to internalize their limitations as your own. That is why it's so important to be intentional about who has access to your mind and your emotions. You don't have to cut everyone out of your life, but you do have to decide who gets the front row. Give that front row to people who push you higher, who challenge your thinking, who make you want to become the best version of yourself. Spend more time in environments where growth is the norm, not the exception. Surround yourself with conversations that spark ideas, not gossip that wastes time. The right people will accelerate your journey. They will introduce you to opportunities, connect you with resources, and share knowledge that would take you years to discover on your own. They will celebrate your wins without jealousy and stand with you in your losses without judgment. They become partners in your growth, committed to seeing you win because they know that your success does not take away from theirs.